Hello backyard astronomers and welcome to Dream World Observatory. Today we got a treat for you. It's still daylight out here. As you can see in there, there's some light in there. We're going to be opening the observatory in a little while. It's going to be getting dark and we're going to let it cool down. Tonight it looks like we might have 3 or 4 hours of good clear skies. So I'm going to try to get out here and see what I can get. My idea is to shoot M20. That's the Traffic Nebula. That's over towards the south in the Milky Way over there. It's beautiful to me. It's one of my favorites to look at. I've never shot it before because all the cameras I've ever had I don't think would ever come close to giving it any kind of justice. So tonight we're going to give it a shot. Come back when it's a little darker. We'll check it out. I see you made it back. Just a word of caution here. You're going to be hearing probably some fans blowing and maybe AC and some thunder every now and then. We're having a good old-fashioned Florida get-together on, especially late in the evenings. We always have our storms. So I don't think they'll distract from you too much. And so let's get this done before we lose our power. Okay, the idea was to shoot M20, and we wanted to shoot 180 seconds per frame and shoot for 3 hours. Well, I had Sequence Generator Pro set up to do it, and started the sequence a little bit after 12:30. And I sat down, waited, and after 3 minutes, the first frame came down, and it was very satisfactory, very good. Pretty well had it lined up too. So I decided I'd sit around and wait one more frame, maybe two, to see if everything was okay before I went in the house and get me a cold drink. So I sat there for about 4 more minutes, and second frame never come down. And I got to looking around, and it seemed like the program, I thought the program had stalled, but it wasn't, because every time I tried to do anything, it kept telling me sequence was already running. So I don't know why it would not do a second frame. So I restarted it, reset it, and tried again. 3 or 4 times I did this. I finally just give up, and I shut it down, put the telescope in park, and was fixing to shut the observatory up, and I happened to think, you know, I need to try this on Nebulosity. So this is what I did. This is the program you see is Nebulosity right here, and we're going to show you that we did get the frames. But the thing is, we only got 20 because I didn't get started at 2 o'clock. And so I set it up to do for 1 hour. I'm going to show you just a few of them. There's so much alike that you know, you can't tell the difference in them. At least I can anyway. Wait till it pops up here and we'll see what we got here. Okay, this is a raw frame. This is what you're going to see when you shoot. And I'm going to put it down to 25%. If you shot 20 frames, you'll get 20 of these. If you shot 100, you'll get 100 of these. I want you to see this right here. I thought this was very interesting. The center of the Traffic Nebula has 3 stars that are actually so bright that they illuminate the hydrogen gas that's around here. And that is what causes the big red glow that you see. There is another nebula right here that's actually blue, but it takes a lot of frames to ever get that to see. I do know, in fact, I'll let you know in just a minute. Let me just show you these first. I wanted you to see that these are pretty good. I was very impressed with them. To me, my stars look pretty good. I got a nice solid background. I was tickled with it. Now, excuse me. These are looking like they're black and white, and the reason they do is because I use a one-shot color ZWO camera, and these have not been debayered yet, nor have they been lined up or anything. These are still raw files. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to run them through a stacking program and align and combine and debayer them. I choose to run all mine through Nebulosity. I have less trouble with Nebulosity. I do have a problem, and I'm going to show you that to you in a minute. But I have less trouble with Nebulosity than any other program I've messed with. So we're going to take this program and we're going to run it through Nebulosity. Now, I've already done it, so we don't have to go through all those motions. We're going to save that for another video. Let's look at what it the final output from Nebulosity, what it looks like. Now you just saw the raw frames. Now we're going to run them through here and it's going to stack them, and then it's going to give us a picture. Now you say, well heck, that looks just like it did before. No, it doesn't. If you look at it real good, you'll see that these stars are in color. You'll see different color stars, and they look pretty round. So this program has already done an alignment. It's done a combine of the darks, the bias, and the flats, and it's also done a debayering. So in other words, it's turned it into color. And you say, well, where is it at? Well, you got to stretch it a little bit, because we're not going to do anything to this till we get to my choice program is Photoshop. I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. Now right here is, you see all kinds of stuff. This right here is where it's during the alignment process. It's going to move frames back and forth and put them over the top where but they're going to do alignments. And that's what you see here. So what you have to do is you have to crop this off, and so that's very normal. That's the first thing you want to do, is you want to stretch it, find out where that is, and cut it off. All right, now here's what I want you to see. There's a Triffitt Nebula, and it's red. It's reddish, and there's one down here that looks, I don't know, it looks kind of greenish. A couple of things I want you to notice about this. Yes, I know composition is not very good here. During my childish tantrum, when I put the telescope back on this, all I did was make sure that it was on the screen, and I let it start shooting. I failed to make sure that I was framed correctly. My fault. I will do this again. I hope I may not be able to do it because anytime soon, because we're going to have bad weather for a while. Then it's going to be where I can't get to it. But I'm going to satisfy for this year. Okay. The problem I have with Nebulosity is, ever since I've tried to use this ZWO camera, I cannot get the color. I can't get nothing right. You see this? This is reddish. Okay, this is kind of a bluish greenish. I see it's green mostly. And you got a green tint. That's normal. The green tint you're going to see. The problem is, I was not getting this. When I first ran these and stacked them, they were some god-awful color. And I went to Photoshop with them, and I couldn't get them straightened out. I had a heck of a time. I messed with these for 2 days. Finally, I got on the internet and was looking around, and I found out that there's 2 settings that definitely has to be activated on here if you were using a ZWO camera. I cannot remember where I got that, but I do remember if you have a ZWO camera, you need to go set these settings. So I went right over here and checked this here out. Now I got the latest, greatest updates as far as I know. All right, the 2 settings they're talking about, here's the acquisition mode. You have to set it for raw acquisition. Well, that's always been, I don't remember it not being that way. But there's another one here, and it may have been there all the time, but I didn't know anything about it. Maybe I didn't know what it was for. It says manually override color reconstruction. Okay, what is that? That has to do with resetting of the debayer pattern. You have to check this. When you're running the processing program in here, you'll get to a certain point just when it's getting ready to do the debayering. It'll pop up if it doesn't recognize your debayer pattern in your camera. Excuse me. And so you're given a metrics, and you're supposed to change it to match what's supposed to be in yours. Well, I'd gone to ZWO and I'd found out what mine's supposed to be, and I'd put it in there, but it still didn't do anything. So the other day, I tried this. I'd set that, and I went in this, and I went over there and set it just as usual, and I'll be doggone, I got this. Now, I want you to understand, there has not been nothing done to this except the normal stacking, pre-processing that's done with the darks and the flats and all this, and the debayering. I had not done nothing else. All I've done here is stretch this. I don't even cut this off until I get it over into Photoshop. And I'll use I think I use a curves I think I use the curves to show the whole thing kind of like this, and then I just crop it right there. Okay, so let's go over to Photoshop and see what we got. Okay, here we are in Photoshop. Normally we'd bring that picture over, it would be a TIFF. A TIFF. Photoshop wants a TIFF. When you bring it over, it will look just like it did before. It's still being colored, but it will not be stretched. Down here you would see where it would be background. Now, the reason you don't see it here is because I got them turned off right now. When I brought it over, right here in this one spot, I did a curves and saw that border, and I cut the border off. And then I did a couple levels and all of this. And basically not a whole lot, just stretched a little bit. Now when I did, this is what you're going to see. Now the reason I did this is because I have these astronomy tools here, and some of these astronomy tools won't run completely unless these are broke down, merged down, or flattened. You can't run them in a layer. So I have to do this in order for that to work. And then when I do that, you can't see what I did here. And once you shut this off, you can't see it in history up here because the history doesn't show. Okay, so I will bring it over here now and let you see what it looked like. Now, remember that this first frame is not exactly what you brought over. When I brought it over, it was not stretched. So I did the curves and stretched it, and I cut the border off, cropped it, and then I did some more curves and a couple levels, and basically that's all I did here. So then I really didn't like this but it's getting closer. See, you get some more detail here, and the three bright stars are really powering out there. But this is green here, and this is not the red I want. So I did some more. Now in this one, you saw very little change, but you did see some. Some of it was the deep sky object and reduction in the stars. They did a lot of that. And they cleaned up some of that green in the background. Still more green here, but although we're getting a little bit more blue here. Some more curves, brought out some more. And then the final thing I did was this is all that I did to it. And this one here, now this is what I got. And this one I did a color balance, I did some more curves, and I ran another deep sky and star reduction. That kind of cut down on some. There's a little bit, it's not a halo, it needs a little bit more done to it. I'm not going to quite do a whole lot more to it because the framing's off, and I apologize for that. I will be redoing this image again whenever I can, although we're going to have a lot of storms here coming up. I think this is going to be out of my reach by the time those are gone. I have a big old tree sitting over there in my way, and then some houses. So I probably won't be able to do that no more this season. But I'm very happy with this, the way it turned out. Now inside of this, like I said, I did color balance and some more curves and a few levels. I didn't do anything else to it. In fact, I started to do sharpening to it, and I didn't like it because I like it soft. To me, it's a cloud. I don't think it needs to be so sharp. I like the way it turned out. Right or wrong, I don't know. So anyway, that's all that has been done to this image. I'm sure there's some more to be done to it. In just a second or two, I will show you on full screen what it really looks like. Okay, as I promised, here we are, M20 in all of its glory. I'm very happy with this image. There's a lot more that can be done to this image. There's a lot more that should be done to this image. But for my first attempt at taking a picture of this particular object, I'm very well satisfied, even though it's out of a frame. We're going to do some more stuff, and hopefully we can get some stuff and set up the camera and let it just run the entire shoot and let you see what really goes on when you're outside, kind of like behind the scenes. That'll happen pretty soon, as soon as I solve some of the problems. So if you like what you saw, click like below. If this is your first time, hit subscribe and ring that little bell, and that way the next time we post something, you'll get a notification. Just remember, when you're doing that deep sky stuff, this particular object is 5,200 light years from Earth. And your little telescope picked it up in that kind of color right there. So until next time, keep looking up in clear skies.